Hey, what's happening, everyone? This is GBall, and I have an exciting knife here to share with you coming in from Vixino. This is going to be a brand spanking new release for them. Some of you may remember their first knife, the Vixino Rockshark. Very popular, very affordable. The second design here, this new release, is going to be on the other side of the spectrum, or at least on the more premium side. It is called the Bronto, and first things first, I believe it's a collaboration with Caveman Knives. As always, a great package from Vixino. You get a couple of REs here, Caveman EDC, and a nice little camo pouch that you can throw in a bag or on the belt. Be a perfect pouch for a multi-tool or something like that. Now, if you've never stopped by here before, welcome to GBall Vision. Drop me a comment below. Let me know what knives you are carrying today. Let me know what knives you are hunting down. Kicking us off, the retail is going to be $242 on this particular version. There is another version, and I'll pop up the price tag of that one because I'm not quite sure right offhand. We are looking at M390 for the blade steel, and I believe the HRC is either 60 to 61 or 59 to 61. I'll pop it up on the screen. If they're able to keep it up 60 and 61, that is a decent spot to be in for production knives. I'd like to see it even a little higher, and maybe at some point as a young company they will hopefully get up to that type of caliber. Dual thumb studs for the deployment. The detent felt really good on that initial flick. Thumb flick will be easy peasy. Reverse flick will also be nice and easy. You have plenty of blade there. That way you can come up right underneath of it and flick it out. Great access to the lock bar, nice deep chamfer, so that is comfortable, easy to get to. And one thing I really like about this design is how the lock is actually set up. It has a bolster look to it, and that's because this is two separate pieces, and they do have a slightly different finish to them as well. I think that looks really cool, and you don't see that a whole lot, but the lock side and how the lock is done, I think this looks really clean, and it'll be a lot easier for lefties and righties to manipulate this knife because you're really limiting how much is actually exposed. Just bolted on in there. Looks very, very clean. Our lockup is sitting about 40% or so. We're going to test that here in a few moments. It is perfectly centered up there. Let's go ahead and we'll get into some size specs on this. And it definitely feels like a good size. It's going to come down there, tip to tip, about 8 1/8. We have just shy of 3.5 inches of cutting edge. It's going to be more like 3 3/8. And then for total blade, we'll call it 3.6. And for some size comparisons, we have the Spyderco Para 3 up top and the Paramilitary 2 on the bottom. And a knife in this size is going to fall right in between both of those. And you might be wondering to yourself, is this knife available? Well, it actually is. I will have links down in the description over to this knife. And I believe they also have quite a few different Rocksharks available. I have a couple here, the blue micarta, and then the orange crosscut G10, stonewashed, and then satin on this particular version. And I think those come in at like 55, 60 bucks, something like that, right in that general area. So this is quite a step forward for Vixino, jumping up into the $200+ realm. And I really like to see it. I think they definitely can compete in that area. I know they're a young company, but I can tell just through talking with them, they have a love for knives and they have a want to put out good quality knives. Next, we'll get the 50 ways baked in GBall Vision Hank out here and take a look at this clip. It's going to work really well. It's nice and wide out towards the start, and it comes to an off angle tip, so that'll be nice and easy to get over the pocket. And then as far as what it looks like in the pocket, it'll be very clean. You have maybe 3/16 of an inch poking out. And then there is a lanyard hole that'll also hang out over the pocket for the lanyard fans. I think that looks really good. You have a nice place to grab a hold of the knife and pull it out of the pocket. Retention feels good. Plenty of clearance under there. That is a very nice clip. We'll go ahead and get the arch nemesis out and give the Bronto a weight check. Now, I like to play a little game here on the channel with the new knives that come in. I attempt to guess the weight, and I always invite you to play along. You put your guess down in the comments, ounces or grams, whichever you prefer. Even if you already have a comment down there, go ahead and put your guess. And if you're enjoying this video, you like knives and gear, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. That way you never miss another video. I'm going to give it a go and say this has a pretty healthy feel to it and healthy weight. I want to say 4, 3, 4 even. And I could be off on the low side. I'm going to be safe and go like 4. Lock me in at 4.5. 4.5. Oh! Smoked. 5.3 for those of you driving. 5.3 ounces. Whew. So, quite a bit more than what I'm saying. 150 grams. You don't see that often, me be too wrong. You better mark this one down on your calendars. 5.3 ounces, way off. Very good weight on the knife, though. I have been saying for months and months now, I get tired of every knife being ultra lightweight, no matter what materials we're looking at. So it's nice to see a company putting out a healthy feeling tool here. We'll go ahead and get our calipers out, measuring device, and we'll get the handles and blade. 0.55, so a nice healthy thickness, 13.9 millimeters. And that thickness gives people with larger hands a little bit more comfortable grip on the knife. As far as the blade stock goes, 3.97 millimeters and 156 thousandths. So pretty thick. Nice thick blade stock. Let's see what we're looking at for our behind the edge thickness. And that's going to come in at 17 thousandths in that particular spot with that particular hold. Let's see how this bad boy cuts out of the box. For this one here, we're going to have to use some notebook paper. Typically we use magazine paper. This is more of a, it's not quite a complete straight back, but it's trying to become a straight back. So you have a little bit higher tip here. Not going to be pokey and piercy like a true drop point or a spear point's going to be, or some worn clips. But you'll still be able to get some poking done with this. And you do have a little bit of belly there. It's a great blade shape for a user because you can use this kind of leading edge there. And that has a beautiful edge on it. A lot of companies overlook this initial edge, and it comes, you know, not very sharp most of the time. In my experience, in my limited experience with blades out there, but this is very sharp on this one here. Let's check out that secondary edge, and that feels good as well. Very nice. And transitioning from the long to short, not going to be any problem. Man, that's really, really good. You guys who have been watching long enough will remember and agree that a lot of these first edges on these types of blades are often lackluster and looked over. Very, you know, very up and down if it's going to be sharp or dull. We'll get the off-grid driver out here and we'll see what we're looking at for the hardware situation. Non-tooled pivot with a collar looks nice and clean. Show side of the blade looks really good. You just have Vixino down here, nice and small. Don't mind that whatsoever. We have a body screw here, and that's going to be a T8. That'll be a T8 as well. And then our pocket clip is also a T8. Very good job. And our pivot, T8. So T8's all the way around. That is exactly what we want. Nice and simple for everybody. You're only going to need one bit to disassemble this knife. If you have a good driver and good bits, you'll be in good shape. Now we'll go ahead and get a couple of checks on this knife. We've really been over everything. It's perfectly centered up here again. The detent is exquisite, nice and strong. If you like a strong detent and a strong reverse flick, you're going to really, really like this one. Also, we didn't talk about the acoustics. Sounds pretty good. It doesn't have like it has a good thwack to it. You know what I mean? On the open. And then you can clearly tell and hear it click into place with that detent. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. So good action, detent. The ergos work very well. You have these kind of long sections here that you can use to really get a multitude of different grips. And because this area up here, it's not sharp or anything like that. Not that you would want to squeeze the hell out of the knife right there, but you can easily choke up behind the edge and get a little bit more on the knife if you need to, right? A little bit more control. And that'll also allow you to cheat up there and get closer to the tip for more detail-oriented work. So I like the layout, and as I always say, with a handle like this, you can get plenty of reach comfortably as well. You know, not something that you're always going to need, but there are instances where, you know, you need a little bit of reach with your knife for whatever reason. But I think that's laid out very nicely. It's not going to be perfect for everyone, but for my hand in particular, and that's why I like this 8 1/4, 8.5 inch size, because it fits my hand very well. I have plenty of room to maneuver, move around, seemingly comfortable in a multitude of grips. I would say an excellent job. Last thing we're going to do here is take a look at the lockup. Chamfered off nicely, very comfortable and easy to get to. The lockup is going to be looking like about 30. What would you say there, experts? We'll say 40%. Let's give it 40. I think it looks very healthy. We'll give it a couple of ups and downs, sides to sides, and I don't feel any movement. And that doesn't tell us everything as far as the lockup. We've had ones that felt rock solid before, and they fail miserably. I'm not saying that's the case with this, but we're going to give it a light tap out towards the tip to get us going. That puts a ton of stress on the lock. We're doing this to make sure we have a good positive lockup. We're not doing it to see if you can hammer a nail into a tree with the spine of your blade. We just want to make sure we have a good, strong lockup there in case this knife were to meet a little bit of accidental force to the spine. We want to make sure this is locked up nicely. We'll close it and check it. Go for a mid-mounted shot with a good shot, and feels good. Sounds good also. Very good. Giving a nice thwack back. That's what we want. And a double tap is always overboard, but I do that. So it gives you a good idea on the strength of my particular example here. That's the best I can do. I only get one, but at least we have one example of a lock check with each individual knife. And this one, that's 3 double taps. We don't typically do that, but because they're a newer company, you know, I want to show you what I think they're capable of. I had 3 or 4 different Rocksharks to check out, and I hammered each one of them. each one, hammered them very hard. Lock checks, testing the 14C, and they all performed very nicely. All the results back on the HRC of their steels are meeting what they are saying they are, and that's a good thing, because we need to hold companies, accountable and hold their feet to the fire. Lock checks, testing the steels, all that sort of thing needs to continue, and that's just going to make everything better in the end, in my opinion. Like I said, I will have a link and a discount code in the description for you, hopefully a discount code. I'll have that in the pinned comment and description. You'll have to let me know what you think of the new Bronto here. I always look forward to hearing from you. Do me a solid and hit that thumbs up button. And if you want to make sure you never miss another GBall Vision video, hit the subscribe button and stab the bell. I'll pop up a couple of new videos for you haven't seen yet. Go check one of them out. Have yourself an awesome day. Thanks for watching. Catch you on the next one.